What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Samsung Galaxy S5 mini to the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini. So in Samsung's usual style, after releasing their flagship a few months later, they have now released the mini version of their flagship, as they did with the S3, the S4 and now with the S5. Now this is usually a little bit of a cut down version of the original flagship, and it's usually quite popular with those who prefer more of a compact device. So how does the S5 mini compared to the S4 mini from last year? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head-to-head spec comparison. Now looking at the size initially, there is a bit of a difference in size. The S5 mini is actually quite larger compared to the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini, 6.5mm in terms of height, 3.5mm in terms of width, and it's also 0.2mm thicker. So can we still consider it a mini? It's arguable, and it has gone slightly larger. I mean, it still should be quite comfortable to use in one hand, and it's still going to be a lot more comfortable to use compared to the original S5. And it does also have a larger screen. You've got a 4.5-inch screen compared to the 4.3-inch screen on the S4 mini. So once again, they have gone slightly larger, but they did this with the S4 and the S5 as well, from a 5-inch screen to a 5.1-inch screen. So I think it's generally a bit of a trend where they're trying to get in a little bit of a larger screen for the users, so that way it is still usable but a little bit larger. Now in terms of the resolution, the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini has a 960 by 540 resolution. That's 256 ppi pixel density. This was quite disappointing for a lot of people because we were expecting a 720p display, but it looks like Samsung have taken that on board, and the S5 mini does have a 720p display. You've got 1280 by 720, and that works out to roughly about 326 ppi. So that's definitely great to see that you've got 720p HD on the Samsung Galaxy S5 mini. Definitely a welcome upgrade compared to the S4 mini. Now in terms of the weight, the S4 mini does weigh a little bit more as well, 13 grams more compared to the S4 mini. So once again, a little bit larger there in terms of the size and weight, and that does partly come down to the fact that it's got a different build. The S4 mini, you've got that polycarbonate plastic build, and it's got that glossy finish which wasn't very popular with a lot of people. It did look and feel quite cheap. The S5 mini, they've gone for the perforated back with the dimpled soft touch finish. Now this is the same as the S5. Now in my opinion, it doesn't look very premium, but it does feel very nice in the hand. It's quite grippy and it's quite comfortable to hold as well compared to many other devices. The other thing that you've also got on the S5 mini is IP67 water and dust resistance. So this is something that the S5 original has, and they've continued this onto the S5 mini. So that's definitely great to see that you're not going to have any issues getting a bit of water onto your device. Now the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini, in terms of the internals, you've got a 1.7 GHz dual core processor, so not too great in terms of today's standards, but a decent processor. The S5 mini, they have improved on this. You've got a 1.4 GHz quad core processor, so you've got quad versus dual core here, and it should perform better in terms of your daily tasks as well as some more intensive tasks. It's not going to be as good as the S5 original. Now in terms of RAM, the S4 mini came in 1.5 GHz for the 3G version, and for the 4G LTE version you've got 2 GB of RAM. Now with the S5 mini, you've got 4G LTE, but it's just the 1.5 GB RAM version that you've got. So they've not gone for 2 GB here. Maybe that's to keep a bit of separation with the S5 original, which has 2 GB of RAM. So 1.5 GHz still isn't too bad. It's still pretty decent for a smartphone. In terms of storage versions, the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini only came in the 8 GB version, which to be honest wasn't too great. 8 GB out of there, you had roughly about 5 GB of usable storage. The S5 mini, they've improved on that, and now you've got a base model of 16 GB. So definitely that's beneficial. You're gonna have more storage on your device. Both of these are also expandable, micro SD up to 64 GB, which is great to see on both of these devices, that you can expand your storage and you're not going to be stuck with what you get. Now moving on to the cameras, the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini has an 8 megapixel camera. The S5 mini also has an 8 megapixel camera, so they've not improved the resolution on the camera here. Now in terms of the actual sensor, I'm not sure if they've increased the size of it, which is the reason why they've kept the resolution the same, We're not too sure about that. They've not been clear about that. We'll have to see hands-on results in terms of which camera performs better. Usually they do improve the camera sensor somewhat. If it's not the resolution, it's the size. So that we will have to wait and see. Video wise as well, both of these can film 1080p at 30 frames a second. Front facing cameras, we do have an improvement. You've got 1.9 megapixel front facing camera on the S4 mini. On the S5 mini, you've got a 2.1 megapixel front facing camera capable of filming 1080p HD. So you've got 720 versus 1080 here from the front facing cameras. 1080 on a front facing camera is definitely great. If you're going to be using it alongside your rear facing camera footage, then having that consistency is definitely beneficial. Now in terms of the operating systems, the Samsung Galaxy S5 mini is going to come with KitKat, so Android KitKat out of the box, which is great. So you're going to get the latest version of Android on the device. The Samsung Galaxy S4 mini is currently on a 4.3 Jelly Bean, I believe, and there is rumored to be an upgrade soon. I'm not sure about this. By the time you're watching this video, it may have come about, but at this point in time, it is still Android 4.3. In terms of some of the additional hardware features, both of these do have an IR blaster, which is great, so you can control your television and things from your device. But with the S5 mini, they've incorporated some of the features from the S5. So you've got your fingerprint scanner on the home button. So that's quite interesting that they've actually included this on the mini version. In terms of the usage of this fingerprint scanner, you have to swipe, so you have to be pretty accurate. So in my experience of using it on the S5, it's not been absolutely perfect. It's not bad, but it's not as good as some other devices out there. And you've also got the heart rate sensor on the S5 mini, something that you've got on the S5, so you can measure your pulse rate and then use it alongside some of your health apps. So that's quite nice to see that you've got that on the S5 mini. These features are not available on the S4 mini. Now moving on to the batteries, the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini has a 1900 milliamp battery that has now been improved on to the S5 with a 2100 milliamp battery. Both of these are also removable, so we have got an improvement here, which is nice to see. Finally, looking at the price, the Samsung Galaxy S4 mini, right now you can pick it up for roughly about $350 in the US, or roughly about £250 in the UK. So it has dropped quite a bit in price compared to when it was first released. Now at the S5 mini, there's no confirmed pricing as yet, but I'd expect it to be roughly about $450 or roughly about £350, maybe a little bit more, but that's roughly about the price that you expect to see. There's no confirmed release dates yet either. They've said Russia's going to initially get it and it's going to be followed on by a worldwide release. We're looking at roughly mid to late July, I would say, as well. So coming very soon. And that was the comparison of the S4 mini versus the S5 mini. We've got quite a few new improvements here, especially in terms of the screen. You've got that resolution 720p, but you've also got some of these new features such as the heart rate sensor as well as the fingerprint scanner. What do you think of the S5 mini? Will you be getting it? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.